everybody? It is Dirty and
DZAN, what is going on? It is your TUF report for episode 10. I'm a little under the weather, ladies and gentlemen. Just getting over it, though. Had a bad viral infection. How you doing, Dirty?
I'm doing. How you doing?
Great. We had a great week on TUF this week, man. Let's get into it, brother. We had Brian versus Andre this week, man.
Wait a minute. Before we can get into this, it was a tough week. And there is really no pun intended. But we don't do it this way normally. Normally, DZAN takes the ball and runs with it, and I just kind of throw my shit in there. But I got to take over here on this one. I was heartbroken. I was absolutely heartbroken watching that video of his daughter trying to reach through the screen on the Zoom call.
Yeah,
that
man.
was just heart-wrenching, man.
Andre's little girl, man, that shit broke me. My wife and I were watching that, and we both almost teared up right away watching her like get so upset that he couldn't pick her up through the screen. That shit kills me, bro.
Too. Yeah, I know.
That shit kills me, man.
That ate me up.
Yeah, I remember I used to when I worked and I would go out of town for weeks at a time, and I would FaceTime. It was always the roughest thing, and it's for a week, 2 weeks, and that's what he kept saying. It's 30 fucking days, but it's a lot, especially away from your kids, man. It's a lot, man. That shit tore me up for sure, for sure.
I remember when I was much younger, and I had to go away for 6 weeks for some training. Believe it or not, for a brief moment in time of my life, I sold insurance for a living.
Hey,
about 2.5 years, and that was about 2.5 years too long. But they sent me to someplace in Virginia. It was right by Maryland, by the DC Mall and all that. But it was 6 weeks, and it was probably the hardest 6 weeks of my life, the longest 6 weeks of my life. I was away from my kids for 6 weeks. I was away from my wife at the time for 6 weeks. My family, my friends, everything. That's a tough thing to do, man. When you got kids at home, especially, I mean, his daughter, Jesus, was she 2, 3?
Yeah, man.
She was tiny.
Too young to understand, man. Too young to understand for sure.
Home? So
yep,
anyway, just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, man. Well, look, we started off the episode with coaches competition or nah. Instead, the coaches chose 3 of their own teammates to battle it out in the pit crew competition. And hot damn, did Volkanovski's team just fucking run through it. Too easy. Did you see what the prize was? I don't remember.
No, I didn't see, but I thought you were going to say something else. Brian Ortega, you can tell that there's some underlying stuff starting to brew up here with him, I think.
Explain, please.
No, you can just kind of see it in his eyes, like when they lose.
When they lost, another loss, yeah.
But then that there, you could see it, man. It was, it's not.
I was like, why the fuck are they doing this competition? It's supposed to be for the fucking coaches. And then they said they're gonna get a prize or something, and I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention.
Usually it's like a big load of cash. I mean, in years past, Dana,
it wasn't nothing. So that didn't happen. But all right,
stacks of bills. Remember that?
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's going to be next episode. We saw a sneak peek at the end of this one. So, all right. So we saw some of their training vids and stuff, getting ready for the fight, getting prepped. This episode was so tough because I remember telling you the last episode. Andre was like one of my favorites. Yeah, there we go. We just need a little every time. But my wife and I were going back and forth because we love both Brian and Andre. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going for Andre just because, like, on that first episode, I'm like, this dude, I think is going to win the whole thing. And she's like, yeah, I'll go with Andre too. And I said, oh, why? He's hotter. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. We'll go with Andre.
That's the way it works. Matter of fact, I think we've talked about this before, but my wife has been infatuated with Brian Ortega for probably 2 years.
Oh yeah,
now,
that's
at
one of her
least,
favorites.
maybe longer than that. So
Those eyes are too dreamy for
oh
her.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that's all I
Yeah.
hear about. And
All
meanwhile,
right.
meanwhile, you and I got brown eyes.
Brown eyes. That's why I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. So
Yeah. All right. Round one. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it.
do it.
Round one, some controversy in the beginning. We got great takedown defense from the lengthy Brian. Did Brian look like he was a fucking 2 feet taller than Andre
Yeah,
in that
kinda,
fucking
at
fight?
times he did. Yeah.
Andre looked definitely bigger, but holy shit, Brian was just so huge for that weight class.
Mhm.
He hurt Andre though badly with that headbutt. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about that replay.
Yeah. Well,
What the
and
fuck?
also the take. Oh yeah. The takedowns though too.
Yeah. So they headbutt each other on Brian's way getting up. They headbutt hard, and then shortly after that, there was a knee that hit the ear while he was already cut. And they played a replay, and they're saying that that was what caused the cut. I'm just glad it wasn't a doctor stoppage because that would have been way too controversial. I would have been very heated right now.
Yeah. That would have been more controversial than the way that it is now.
Right. Oh yeah, 100% for sure.
It reminded me, and I was trying to think of it as you were talking there. There was a UFC fight, and it semi recently where that happened, and it was an accidental headbutt, and it ended up kind of indirectly ending the fight. I can't remember what it was though, but
You're not talking about Aljo, right?
no.
Are you talking about maybe Diego Sanchez last year here in Rio Rancho, where he took the veterans
been.
decision
Maybe it
against Michael
was.
Pieta? Yeah, against
Yeah.
Michael Pieta, where he pretty much grazed his head, and he knew that if he would say that he can't continue, he would win the fight, and he made that decision.
Right.
He said it was the veterans' decision.
That may have been it. It was, as you were talking about that, because I was thinking about it during the TUF fight as well,
Right.
between Brian and Andre, and I was immediately drawn to that, thinking about that. But yeah, it's fighting, and things happen, and when you're fighting in the street,
You're not going to stop.
Nobody's going to come in and say, wait a minute.
Let's
I
replay
believe
that.
that was illegal.
Hold up. Yeah.
So I'm very forgiving when it comes to stuff like that.
Right. I just hate the lack of accountability on the officials when if we can hear it and see it in real time, why can't you catch it in slow motion?
Right.
That scares me. Okay. That scares me. Right after that, they got it going. Andre, beautiful takedown, controlled the last bit. I don't think it was enough to give him the round, but he ended it greatly, right?
And I started having hope at that point.
Me too. I was like, okay, here we go.
And I say hope. Hang on. I say hope. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily pulling for one person or the other, because I like both Ortega and Volkanovski, but
right.
Because of the story with his daughter.
Interesting, right? Make it right. And to give Ortega that win back, right? Give him a win,
and he needs it.
He needed it. Round 2 started. Brian picked that motherfucker apart. Andre was too tired, and it showed. It was all over his face. I couldn't believe it after five rounds.
I was thinking
all that muscle, man. All that muscle, all that lactic acid.
Yeah. Lactic acid shoots right to it, man.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I mean, shit, I just lost my train of thought there. Sorry about that. Because you interrupted me.
I'm sorry, man. I do that. I was saying that Andre got picked apart. I was saying Andre.
Yeah.
Andre got picked apart. He got a good takedown, but Brian got right back up.
That's okay.
That's all right. Well, hey, he got a nasty choke. How quick and nasty that was.
Oh, what I was. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's what I was going to say is we just got done talking about this, about fighters gassing at this level.
Oh, right.
So easily. Listen, note to anybody that's going to try to join the TUF competition. Get your cardio up, man.
Yeah.
Get your cardio up. It's inexcusable.
Dirty. Can I? I'm so sorry. I have to cut.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. Are you talking about the thing we talked about?
No. Go ahead. No, finish your thought, please.
Most of these are 2-round fights. This one wasn't.
Yeah.
Most of them in 2-round fights. That's inexcusable to gas out in a 2-round fight.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not if you have aspirations of going into the UFC and getting a contract. It's inexcusable.
I mean, let alone he lost the first half of that first round.
Right.
And you were gassing because of the work he did after the headbutt. He gassed out. So we're talking 2 minutes of work, and he gassed. What I was going to say is I was so distracted from what you were saying. That beautiful piece of machinery behind you with the mirror finish. I could see your blue shirt in the mirror finish when you were talking. And I'm like, damn, that thing is just so pretty. Right below it, right? The gray, right? And then over, right? Right there.
Yeah, it's got a mirror on it. It's got a mirror.
Yes. Beautiful.
Well, it's really cool looking unless you're gigging, because you can't see it.
Yeah.
Because it's got black writing. So like the EQ knobs and the gain and the volume and all that. You can't black on a mirror. I see that in the dark. Forget it, man.
Beautiful. All right. So after that, look, Volkanovski is on quite a fucking streak now. What, 5 in a row, 6 in a row now?
Yep.
Fucking A.
6.
And now we have, think about this, Brian Battle going up against the winner between Trayshawn and Gilbert Urbina. Holy shit.
Out of the 3 of them, I like Gilbert probably on a personal level. I like Trayshawn though too.
I was gonna say Trayshawn's probably my favorite. I gotta say.
After last week or week before or whatever it was, Gilbert just, I don't know, man. I just really took to him.
He's probably the when you think about fighter, he's probably the biggest fighter of the house, the truest fighter in a sense. I totally understand.
Yeah,
totally understand.
Kind of like that Nate Diaz mentality.
Yes.
And I just feel like he could be a star. Trayshawn could be a star. They can all be stars.
Look, a lot of these guys have the look. They do. They can definitely all be stars.
And the walk, if you will.
Yeah.
They've got the moxie. Most of them have the moxie to go along with it. I mean, listen, you look at lead singers in rock and roll bands, right? They're absolute egomaniacs. You look at quarterbacks and cornerbacks and wide receivers and running backs in the NFL. They're egomaniacs, right? They have to be.
Yeah.
They have to be. David Lee Roth, the lead singer of Van Halen, Mick Jagger, the lead singer for the Rolling Stones. These guys are out of this world when it comes to their ego. But you wouldn't watch them without it. You might not like it,
right?
But you wouldn't watch it without it. And, there's a certain element to that in any public eye, public arena desire to be a star, right?
Yeah.
Well, you've got to have that moxie to elevate your brand, not your fighting, but your brand. And I mean, however you feel about Conor McGregor, the fact is that he's built his brand from his moxie.
Yeah.
And John Jones built his brand from his moxie. A lot of these guys have done that, and it's very effective. It's a very effective way to do it.
Yep.
I contend that Khabib would have been, he would have never have been a star, no matter how good he fought, until he learned how to talk. And then when when it's primarily English, but nevertheless, even his English, he did some shit talking.
Yeah.
And he's got moxie. And, so the point is I think all 3 of these guys have that moxie factor. Maybe not the it factor, but they've definitely got the moxie factor. So I take back what I said. I don't know that I'm necessarily rooting for one over another at this point.
Right.
If I had to pick, it would probably be Gilbert, but We need to let this play out.
Right.
And
Right.
we're going to know a lot more over the next week.
Yep. Speaking of next week, we got a sneak peek, and that is the real coaches competition where the fighters can lay back. And I was thinking to myself at the beginning of this episode, why the fuck aren't the coaches having a competition? I know that they're training for a fight, but you've seen TUF where they literally had the coaches play ping pong. You could have done something. So I'm glad that they are doing it. It's really dope. That is usually my favorite episode. So I'm very excited. I was let down this episode, but I'm very excited that it's happening on episode 11.
Absolutely. You got any more?
That's it, brother. I'm done. That's your
Get
TUF
out of
report for episode 10. We will see you next week. Peace out.